properly then. Stick up the wings.
Hello?
Dave,
Hello, who have I got?
it's Neil Waters from the Thylacine Awareness Group. How are you, mate?
Ah, Neil. Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Excellent.
Pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Is it all right to chat for a few minutes?
Yeah, hopefully I'm in the car, but there's a fair bit of wind around today. It's sort of a bit blustery, but hopefully everything that you can hear.
No worries. Mate, thanks for agreeing to have a bit of an interview with me. What I wanted to do was if you could recount the day you had your sighting for me. I'm doing a bit of a video. I mean, I know we went out there last year and you showed me the area. I've got a bit of audio from when we were actually there. And I just wanted to get a few details about that trapper's hut as well, because that was really interesting.
Yep. All right. Well, I can start with my sighting if you like.
Sure, go for it, mate.
It was February the 28th, 2018.
Yep.
And it was just a smidgen past. I think it was 3 in the afternoon. So summer, but in the afternoon, the shadows were starting to be cast off the tea tree. So bearing in mind, so I was heading due east on a gravel road. I was at work, and I work in forestry. And I was checking plantations in an area behind Valentine's Peak in northwest Tasmania.
Okay, yep.
And I was going at speed. They're all private roads up through there. It's forestry roads, so it's sort of. And when I say speed, I was probably doing 80 kilometres an hour on a gravel road. Sure. So heading due east, I'd turned off the main truncating road, and it was a straight section of road. I'd actually had to go over a bit of a brow of a hill. Okay. And as I've come over the brow of the hill, and as I said, I was probably doing about 80, 90 kilometres an hour, I could see an animal just starting to cross the road ahead, and at that stage it was sort of about 80 to 100 metres ahead of me. And so as I've come over the brow of that hill, and obviously going quite fast, it really hadn't really noticed me for several seconds. And it was going from left to right across the road in front of me. And it was right near a stream side, so there was tree plantations either side of that stream, but where the animal was, it was native stream side, so tea tree and a bit of myrtle, and so native remnants, if you like, of forest. Yeah. And it looked when I first saw it, it was quite a weird sort of ambling gait. It was it almost looked like it was just a sad sack, like it was just sort of a very ambling sort of it just seemed to be not sprightly and with purpose. It was a very and it was sort of a real just lackadaisical. When it saw me, I could see it look up, and by this stage was sort of hitting the centre camber of the road, and it looked up, and then straight away had this marsupial gallop to it. It was it was literally a gallop. Okay. And so. And that, as I was approaching closer and closer, obviously, I'd slowed down about the point when it looked up, but I was still obviously going quite fast. I wasn't going to put the skids on or anything. I was just slowing down. So all I could see, because the sun, in the afternoon sun, it was casting a shadow from the north with the tea tree. So I couldn't see colour. All I could see was greys. Okay. So no, I couldn't see any stripes. Yeah. But I could see quite a well-defined standout silhouette as it did its actions.
Yeah.
So bolt straight tail. Definitely not a cat or a dog. It couldn't be with its gait. It's just, I ruled that out straight away. I've been in the bush in Tasmania here for 15, 20 years now, with my work, and as you know, I live off the grid in a bush setting anyway, with plenty of tiger cats or tiger quolls, if you like, spotted tail quoll, and devils as well. So I know what the animals are around. We don't. It wasn't a fox. I've seen them in Victoria. I had a lot to do with them in Victoria. Wasn't a dog. Wasn't a cat. Wasn't a devil. The only possibility it possibly could have been, if you're thinking clinically about it, would be a spotted tail quoll, a large male.
Yeah.
They are known to come out in the daytime, but it's how it cast a silhouette. It just wasn't a quoll. So yeah. But yeah, I got a good look at the silhouette. Got a good look at two types of gait in its motion. And the other thing that sort of had me curious was that, you know, as the only sighting I've had, obviously heard about lots of sightings, but I was surprised at how the size of it. It wasn't as big as what you have paint a mental picture of.
Okay, so it quite possibly could have been a juvenile one then, you think?
Juvenile or maybe a female, but you know, it was shorter. It was all in the right proportions with an extremely long tail for its body and straight. But it was, yeah, it certainly wasn't. You know, it was more like I guess a kelpie size, or smaller even than a kelpie. It wasn't a big thing.
Okay. So you saw it crossing the road. Was it sort of side onto you the whole time, or did it turn and run towards you at all?
It was side on for most of it, other than just when I could so noticeably see it just glance towards me, not without turning, but just glance to see the oncoming car, and that locked it into gear to go at a gallop. But other than that, it was just a side-on shot of it.
Okay. And in total length, how long do you think you saw the animal for? What sort of time?
Probably no more than 4 seconds, I would say.
Okay. And
yeah, you know, it didn't loiter around. Once it saw me coming, it really, you know, it got started.
So what was, after it disappeared from sight, what was the immediate thought that popped into your head?
I straight away, it sort of had disappeared into the stream side scrub, probably about, I don't know, 3 seconds prior to me pulling up to that spot.
Okay, yep. So it was.
And I drove, put the car off the road, and got out and had a look. But it was looking for sort of any footprints or anything, any sort of tangible things that it left.
Yeah.
But no, it was peaty, tea tree covered, leaf covered, spongy stuff. There was nothing that it could hold a footprint. And the road was gravel, the road verge was gravel, so there was just, and when I went into the scrub area there, it was just a labyrinth of different animal runs. Like it wasn't just one defined
it could have taken any
run
one
going
of those.
through. There was 4 or 5 different tracks crisscrossing all through that 5 metre section.
Okay.
So there was nothing defining that I could really sort of pin down to look for. So straight after that, I actually rang one of my superiors, and he sort of didn't discount it, but you know, they're not he played a pretty straight bat, and that was that. But I'd made the phone call more so to log it in my own mind, I think, of the time and date.
Yep. And what you believe you saw was a thylacine?
I truly believe I saw one. I think, as you said, I think it was it was a younger animal. It certainly was. It was in good shape. You know, I certainly my description of it when I first saw it being quite lackadaisical. It wasn't a reflection of its physical look. It was just didn't seem to be moving with any real purpose. It was sort of it really was lackadaisical.
Okay. Did you chat about this to many other people other than your immediate supervisor, or you just sort of kept it to yourself? Or
no, I mentioned it to a few people, and it turns out that there was a logging crew that had seen in 2016 in that area, I think one if not two tigers during the day there as well. So the whole of that area is, as much as it's all plantations now, it's the headwater area for several of the main rivers in the northwest of Tasmania. So it's sort of a marshy moorland natural grass area that's all interconnected, and so there's still huge scope for all the wildlife to still be there. You know, it's wombat central. There's all the creatures that you expect to find in Tasmania live in that area quite happily in abundance.
Okay, so there's plenty of game there for a predator like a thylacine to be in the area.
Totally. It's you only have to look at these roads aren't normally accessible by the public, and even with that, we've got quite a lot of roadkill, unfortunately, which is a fair indicator of the numerous animals running around.
Sure. Now, you said there's probably been a few other people that you know of that have had sightings out your way, because you're out in the northwest.
Yeah, look, there's been none of them get publicised normally, but there's been quite a few over the years of farmers that talk amongst themselves. In actual fact, it was one I don't think I told you about at the time I talked to you previous, probably going back, it's probably 15 years ago now, so it was a while ago, but it was fairly indicative of the attitude. There was a farm forestry tour, a group of budding farm foresters who were down Woolnorth Way, so in the far northwest of Tasmania, and it's Woolnorth is a they've set it up as multiple dairy farms on quite a large swathe of that corner of the island. I don't know whether it's up to eight dairy farms now on it and still land to burn. But they were showing and telling it was all about wildlife corridors and leaving remnant scrub, if you like, and fencing it off to allow the wildlife to move around. And it was interesting because there was I wasn't at it's all second hand from what I heard, but I heard from one of the foresters talking about it, and he was there, and there was probably about 20 people there watching the talk, and next thing you know, there's this animal about 150 metres up the fence line from where they're standing, hopped out through the fence. And of course it was it's about 6 p.m. It had stripes, it had the right colour, had the right gait, and couldn't get back through the fence easily once it saw him, and so it squirmed a bit and hopped back in the very wildlife corridor they were talking about.
Great demonstration. So all of those people saw it, and that went unreported.
Yeah, and to boot, there were 2 private foresters there as well. So
that sounds classic Tasmanian tiger sighting in Tasmania.
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
does.
It's certainly we're an interesting mob, that's for sure. There's no two ways about it.
What year was that?
It was in the late 90s. I can't be specific.
Okay.
The particular,
Well after the extinction was declared.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And of course that country down there, they continue to clear quite a lot of it right up to the ocean there. They've had special permits to clear it
Oh, how
from the
awesome.
government.
Yeah.
So they haven't, where everyone else has had to stop clearing land from native, that company's been given permission to continue.
Yeah, that's a classic. That is, honestly, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't, obviously wouldn't have been game to put it in a forestry bulletin or anything, but there were certainly multiple people that saw it, and it was quite comical that it got itself through the cyclone fence, but it wasn't very graceful getting back in again.
Yeah, and here they are talking about protecting, bush for wildlife in corridors, and here they are staring at the very thing that, everyone wants to protect. Yeah.
Well, he's not meant to exist, but obviously the fencing was working a treat for the corralling the wallabies along the fence line for him.